Hello, everyone. Welcome to Sphere of Success, the podcast and show which highlights the challenge and adversity that we face in business and how we can move that into positivity, how we can look at this as learning opportunity and the opportunity to develop and to be creative and innovative. And today we have a very special guest. He concentrates on helping small business owners to navigate with confidence and clarity the business landscape where in small businesses you're wearing so many hats, and I know that as a small business owner myself, in that we're balancing growth, we're balancing our work-life balance, we're balancing the whole area of how we live and our value systems, as opposed again bringing that into our business, the strategy, the operational side of things. There's many issues that it can feel like it's overwhelming unless we have that clarity and that framework and that pathway in which we know where to best focus our attentions for maximum gain and profitability. And this is Nuno Soares, our wonderful guest for today. Welcome to the show.
Thank you very much for having me.
Oh, it is a true pleasure. And I'm going to deep dive straight in because
hmm
the whole idea about balancing and this sense of overwhelm and burnout, what are you seeing as the biggest challenge within your business community, the clients that you are helping? What problems are they coming to you with the most?
okay, so I think you just start exactly with that is balancing the personal life and the work life. So what I notice is most business owners of SMEs, they start their business because they were technicians. They were very good at doing whatever they do, normally working for someone. And one day they decide, okay, I can start my own business. So they quit their job and they do a leap of faith and they start their own business. Um, so and that is great. Um, and then they start growing the business and things normally go quite fast and exciting in the first years. And then they start having people joining them and the business grow. And then suddenly they they are not doing the things that they used to love doing, and they start doing things that they probably were not trained to do it, like marketing and sales and HR and finance, and all these things starting consuming them, and they start getting, like you said, there's a lot of acts that they need to put on, and they need to juggle all these things. Um, and also most of these business owners, they have families, so they have wives and husbands, they have kids that they also need to pay attention, and also because their business is their life, that is when the struggle between the personal life and the work life comes in and leads sometimes to that burnout that you also mentioned. And I think the easy way to avoid that burnout is just making sure that you have a plan and you have both your lives, the personal and the work life, aligned in a way that works for them. Does that make sense?
It does indeed. And one of the things that I think that many people, I don't just doing the podcasting and the training for this, but I also have a fractional business support company as well,
Mm-hmm.
where we help businesses to do with their fractional administration requirements, business development, social media, podcasting, etc. And in many instances, people come to us knowing that they need help, but they don't quite know to start. It's
Yeah.
just like, well, where do I've got this great tangled mess now, and I've got no idea how to start to pick that apart without creating more work to be able to do it. So how do you help people to start to unpick everything that has just become too unwieldy and causing stress and anxiety?
Um, yeah, so I have a couple of coaching products that I can use, but normally when I start working with a business owner, we start with something that I call the Life Shifter one page plan, and I use a method that I create that I call it real. So is reflect, um, extract, align, and lead. So those are the four stages that I do initially with them. So I make sure that we reflect on what they have done, for the past 12 months, the good things, the bad things, what they have learned from those things. And then we start um, to extract the things from those learnings, what they have learned, what they can do better. And then we go for the alignment, where we start creating the goals that align the personal life and the work life. And then lead is just making a plan, because having goals without a plan is just a wish. You don't get to the end of the line. So that is normally my method, and this is just an initial 1 or 2 sessions that we do. So we spend some focus time speaking with them and extracting and asking difficult questions, so they can write these things down. Then we create something that I have like a poster like this, where we put everything in just one page. So they can even, I print this for them, they can even put on the wall so that they can see it every day. And then we go for the accountability, which is, making sure that every month we follow those things. We make sure that they keep doing things, adjusting, because, things are not set in stone. What we think is good now, it may be changing in 2 or 3 months, and that's fine, no problem. So, but we need to make sure that we are adjusting and tweaking things in a way that makes sense for them, so that on the 12 months period, they can see the results coming in.
And you've mentioned at the beginning about this whole point of view of clarity and confidence.
Mm-hmm.
How are those two areas intermeshed, clarity and confidence?
That is a very good question. I think for you to have confidence, you need to be clear about what you're doing. And sometimes, because what I said, when the business owners, they start their business, look, I don't know any business owners that I work with, or I don't know anyone that went to business school and started a business. People that went to business school, they're normally working for corporates. Any business owners that I know and I work with, none of them went to business school. They were very good technicians, and then they start the business. And they have that dream in their head. And the problem is they need to take the dream from their head and put in something. Normally, it's a paper is a good thing to start with, so that you can start having that clarity. And when you have, employees joining you, you need to have that in that paper with that clarity. Because if it's just in your mind, other people can see it. They don't understand what is your vision and your mission. So having that clarity, putting that down, analyzing that, what it is, it's not just about the vision and the mission, it's the goals, the things that they want to achieve for their work, for their personal life. So when you put that down and it becomes clear to you, what do you want to achieve, then the confidence comes in, because now it's easier, because it's there. So now you are not just guessing about things, you are not just questioning yourself. Because I think confidence, again, it's something that, because you never done this before, it's new to you. It's very easy for us to question and doubt ourselves, especially because normally business owners, they are alone. Some, they have a founder with them, a co-founder, but most of them, they are just alone. And when we are alone, it's very easy to start questioning the things we do, and then knocks out our confidence very easily. Imposter syndrome and all that stuff is very usual and natural to happen to us. So I think that to help them with the confidence is creating that clarity, making that plan, and then work with them on a regular basis on the accountability, to make sure that they build that confidence for them. And also, one of the things that I do is looking at the negative beliefs. We all have negative beliefs. We all think that we don't know enough. There's people out there that know more than us. Yes, that's true, but there's a lot of people behind us that know more than us. And when we are alone, it's very easy to start questioning the things we do, and then knocks out our confidence very easily. Imposter syndrome and all that stuff is very usual and natural to happen to us. So I think that to help them with the confidence is creating that clarity, making that plan, and then work with them on a regular basis on the accountability, to make sure that they build that confidence for them. And also, one of the things that I do is looking at the negative beliefs. We all have negative beliefs. We all think that we don't know enough. There's people out there that know more than us. Yes, that's true, but there's a lot of people behind us that they don't know as much as we know. So working on those negative beliefs and shifting them into positive beliefs, it makes a massive difference. You can see them change their confidence very, very, very quickly when you work with them on those things.
And how does that confidence show up? What will you see as a result of that confidence being gained?
Oh, its growth is just unbelievable. They their business grow. They feel way better. When I have sessions with them, and I can start seeing that we go from when I ask her, "How was your week?" "Oh yeah, it was okay." To start, yeah, I was a very good week. Oh, I've done this, I've done that, and I delegate, and they feel way more confident on the things they are doing. So it's quite amazing how working on these things can change completely the confidence that people have.
And going into this in more detail, because I'd like you to unpack this confidence area.
Mm-hmm.
And you've mentioned before that people go, yeah, week was okay, to actually, I've done this, I've done that. So there's action here, isn't there? And
Mm-hmm.
again, I'd like you to go into detail as to how you help people to put into actionable parameters what it is that they're learning from you so that they can see these results.
Yes. So the learning from me is a tricky thing, because I think as a coach, my job is not teaching them. These guys, they know what they're doing. They are experts in their field, whatever they do. So they know exactly what to do. My job is more extract the things from them, is making them realize their potential, and help them to achieve things by themselves. Okay, so um, I used to say Roger Federer, which was probably the best tennis player in the world, his coaches, they never teach him how to play tennis. He knows how to play tennis. They just help him to be a better tennis player. So I think a job of a business coach is about that. It's not about teaching things to them. It's just extracting them and give them the confidence for them to achieve things. So what I like to do with them is, and again, my plan, one of the things we do is when we set these goals, we make sure that the goals are aligned with their values and the things that they are important to them. And then I have a software, a platform. But look, it doesn't matter. You don't need to have a platform to do those things. It's just making sure that you have these things written down, and it's very clear what you want to do, and then make sure that there's accountability. You need to, like I said, having a goal and not having a plan is just a wish. It's not going to move you to anywhere. So you need to make sure that your goals are are there, and that you keep them in check and you revisit them constantly, because is the feedback loop, isn't it? Is understanding what were you doing and how are you doing, and listen to that feedback and tweak things and make sure that things are moving forward, which leads to that action that you mentioned. Having a goal is amazing, but if you don't do nothing to achieve that goal is not going to happen, isn't it? If people want to say, I want to lose 5 kilos on my weight, great. But what do you need to do for you to lose those 5 kilos is the important thing, isn't it? Is the action, is go to the gym, is whatever, change your diet, whatever it is the actions that make the goals being achievable.
And let's have a think now about men and women. Obviously, we all become business people.
Mm-hmm.
As we're coming up right now to International Women's Day very closely, but this is a perennial situation. How do you help women in particular? This isn't being sexist, but how do you help women in particular have this confidence and this balance and this clarity within what they're doing within their home life and what they're doing with the business, and how they can marry the two?
Okay. That is a very interesting question, because in my experience, unfortunately, I haven't worked as much as with women as would like to, because it there are not many women in business, which I think is a shame, because I think women has a different approach. They have more emotional intelligence, and they can, be more sensitive and sensible to certain topics, and sometimes they can do things better than men. So it's a shame that they are no more in business. And I would like to work with more women, to be honest with you, because I think it's quite challenging and interesting. Um, and also, I think women have a little bit of a disadvantage because they normally are the responsible for the family, isn't it? So they need to do the school runs and need to take care of the kids, and that takes time from the work life. So I think it's even more important for women to make sure that they can align the two lives, the personal life and the business life, and making sure that they give space to both. Um, and look, this depends of individuals because we are all different. Some people like to have a clear definition. I want to have a shutdown period where I've closed my working time. I don't want to think about business now. Now I'm working. I'm just thinking on my personal life. Others, they don't. They like to be more flexible. They like to do things on different hours of the day because it's more productive for them. That's absolutely fine. There's no right or wrong. Is just helping them to understand that what works better for them. If they need to do the school runs in the morning, then they can't start working in the morning. Then they probably need to do something late in the evening. And if they're fine with that, if they're okay with that, that's absolutely fine. But let's just find that balance that works for each of us, because we are all different and we all have different. Even in life, isn't it? When you have small little kids, it's different when the kids are grown up and are on high school. So you can change your routines and you can change things as you go along in your journey. So it's just being able to understand that, be open, and understand that just because you used to do something in a certain way doesn't mean that you can't do in a different way, and let people to decide for themselves. So don't let's not impose nothing just because society thinks about things and they come with these norms and rules. I don't think that is right. I think we all should have our own rules and do what is best for us.
Absolutely. Nobody knows our dynamic like we do. And I have no judgment whatsoever about people doing whatever it is, because at the end of the day, why do we start a business anyway? And usually it's for the betterment of ourselves. And if we have families, for the betterment of our families. And so ultimately, that's got to take priority, hasn't it? Because otherwise, what are we doing it all for?
Yes,
And
exactly.
somebody that I know years ago, an old businessman, he used to say he's seen so many people climb up the ladder, but realized that it was on the wrong wall.
Yeah.
There's no point in doing that when you look back and think, okay, I did that wrong. So yeah, absolutely. And why would people, especially in small businesses where they're saying, well, I've got so much to do, I've got cash flow issue, I've got time issue. Why would they want to take time and a degree of money to invest in somebody like yourself, and rather than doing it for themselves?
That is a very good question. Is one of the obstacles of people taking coaches, isn't it, or working with a business coach? Um, I think there's a few things there. I think if you go to sports, anyone understands that coaching is a must. Any elite athlete, they have sometimes multiple coaches. But when you go into business, sometimes a business coach is seen a little bit like, "Ooh, I don't need someone to go and tell me what I need to do on my business." So I think it's a little bit of a mindset. I think sometimes people are afraid that the business coach is going to come and tell them what they need to do, which, like I explained before, that is not true. A good business coach doesn't do that. And then the other thing is, we live in this fast-paced world that everything comes to us in such a quick succession. Is our phones pinging, is our social media. We are all very, very busy, and when you are too busy, you are not really working on the things that are important to you. You are not moving things forward. You are busy, but it doesn't mean that you are moving forward. And that is what I notice. Most business owners they are busy. Okay. Sometimes I call it, you look like a busy fool. You just, doing a million things, but your business is not moving forward. And we need to stop that. As a business owner, their job is not working in the business, is not working in the business, is working on the business. They need to lead. They don't need to do everything. They have people working for them. So they need to learn how to delegate. They need to learn how to trust them to do the right things. And that is where you need to stop doing that and start thinking and having more time for you. And that is where I think the money they spend and the time they spend on the business coach is going to shift their mind, and that is going to make them grow. Because yes, they are going to spend money with the business coach, they are going to spend time not working in the business, but because that is going to allow the business to grow 20% per year, 25% per year, or whatever it is, they will get that money and that time back multiple times. Is just understanding and changing that mentality, okay? Because people sometimes they just, but I can't do it because I need to do this. Well, you can. You just need to learn how to think a little bit differently, and that is the key thing. If they are not there, then I do not recommend to have a business coach, because they are going to spend money and they are not getting the advantage and the benefits of working with someone that can push them forward. They need to be in the right mindset, or they need to be open to be in the right mindset and change the way they think to something a little bit different. Does that make sense?
Oh, absolutely, it does. And the other thing as well is the speed of time that it takes you to get to an outcome. Because ultimately, I always say, and I have a business coach, I also have a personal mindset coach as well, because I think the two are very closely aligned. And I have two people who are different in the way in which they coach me. But one of the things that I would say is I want to get to fulfill the purpose that I have, and that is to have the platform for the podcasting, to share that message out with people, train them on an international basis so that they've got a global voice. And I know that I have blind spots. And by definition of having a blind spot means that I don't know I've got it. So I need somebody externally to help me understand where those blind spots are. And just working recently with my business coach, I am now doing a series of masterclasses, which before I had a limiting belief unconsciously that for some reason, which stems back from my history, that I wouldn't have anything to say to people that they wouldn't know already. And that was a fundamental limiting belief, because I've got a lot of things to tell people that they don't know already. And it's the style that I do it, which is highly effective. And then that barrier, as quickly as long as I've had it, it went in an instant. And it was because of the coach not telling me anything, like you said, but myself recognizing this is what I had. And as soon as I recognized it, I could then dispense with it and let it dissolve, and then put a series of actions in place to make that masterclass come into fruition. And something as simple as that, I know now I am going to have a lead magnet coming through from masterclasses. And I know that they work highly effectively because I've bought products and services through being on other people's masterclasses. And now I'm going to be doing it. And it was just one of those things that I just could never before do. And some people go, That's crazy easy. Why didn't you do that? Well, you know what? Life is all great for the people that can already do it. But for
Hmm.
those people, for some reason, that can't, which I was one of them, that twist, that small little thing just suddenly has opened up a whole new era. So we're working on high converting landing pages now. I'm using the role in which I want to talk to you about as well of AI to, with us, help to formulate highly compelling email strategy. And this all came from the fact that I unblocked my limiting belief about hosting a masterclass.
Yes, yes. So one of the things I used to say to my clients is, you are sitting in a mountain of knowledge. Okay, so when you are on the peak of a mountain, normally you see the other mountains around you, see how big they are. You can't see how big the mountain where you are at. And I think that happens to us. Okay, we built this knowledge throughout our professional life. We are on top of that mountain and we don't realize how big that mountain is to other people because we are just looking at the other mountains that probably are bigger than us, which that sometimes it happens. That's absolutely fine. But we forget that our mountain is big enough for other people. So one of the things that I also do with my clients, and that is, I think I said to you that being a business owner sometimes is a very lonely place to be. We don't have anyone else. Okay, so you have your family loves you, but they don't understand the business. You may have a close employee that knows the business. You don't want to say things to them because they're working for you. So that puts them in that lonely place. Okay, so having a business coach or a coach, it can work like a sounding board, and we come with a detachment. We don't have any emotional connections with the business, so we can be, completely unbiased about things. And other thing that is very important, and sometimes I have coaching sessions that 1 hour coaching session, and I don't say a word. The only thing I do is ask them questions. Oh, okay, tell me more about that. Tell me about this. Tell me about that. And the end of the meeting, they say, "Oh, no, that was a brilliant session." Oh, good. Because I've done nothing. I've just asked you questions, and you spend an hour talking to me about the things that are in their head. And just that is enough for them to recognize, like you said, that knowledge and discover those things because they feel that they can talk to someone that is not going to judge them, is understand what they are saying, is probably asking questions to make them think about what they are saying. Does that make sense? And just by that, you can see the cogs in their brains just going around, and you can see them figuring out things just by themselves. So yeah, I think that is very, very powerful.
Well, I'm just going to push back on that because,
Mm-hmm.
when you're asking those questions, I always believe that the intelligence is in the question. And to be able to know what questions to ask and when and how, I think is an extremely valuable tool. And so the expertise that you have, which is very humble of you, but as somebody who knows the power as a host of a podcast and show of asking the right questions, it can open up massive value for the person
Mm-hmm.
that's answering the question. And as I say to anybody, have a chat with Nuno because you want to know that you can trust the person. You want to know that you are in a similar mindset from personality perspectives and working with somebody that you like, and you trust, but who also that has got the experience which Nuno has over 20 years of being in business as a seasoned business person. He's not just reading this from a textbook, he's actually living and has lived this on a daily basis. So he's meeting at the very level, very precisely, the people that he can give that wisdom to and ask those intelligent questions to. And Nuno, you have a book. I'd love you to
Mm-hmm.
go through that book a little bit and just let the listeners and the audience know what that book's about and why did you do it?
Yeah, so yes, so my book is Digital Transformation and how technology can transform your business. So I come from a technical background, so I used to be a quite geek person in the beginning of my career, and then I become a consultant. And going back to that questioning, as a consultant, your job is to go in, find a problem, find a solution, and tell them this is the problem, this is the solution. Off you go, solve the problem. Or if you want, I can solve for you. So that is a consultant. And the questioning we use to find those problems and to find the solutions is quite direct because you need to get in and find the problem as quick as possible. So I had to retrain myself with those questions when I become a coach because the questioning line now is completely different. So I can't ask questions to find the problem. I need to ask questions for my clients to find the problem and for my clients to find the solution. So that was quite interesting for me. I had to do some training and learning different ways of asking questions. But going back to my book, so what I think is so I think this is a problem in the UK more than in America, for example. Our companies are not very productive. If we compare our productivity levels with the US and even with the EU, we are a little bit behind. And we used to be. So in the 60s, UK used to be one of the most productive countries in the world. And since then, we have been declining. And I think one of the problems is business owners are tackling their problems with throwing people at the problems. So they have a problem, they go and hire someone else or they hire some more people to solve the problem. And I think that stops the to be productive and efficient because I think technology can help way better with that than people. Because as I used to say, you need to have systems and processes in place so that you can be efficient. If you don't have systems and processes in place, if you hire someone else, you're not solving the problem. You're just adding more problems into the problem. So the first thing they need to do is figure out what are their processes and the systems. And you don't need technology for that. That is something that you can do with pen and paper and or whiteboard and start mapping out your workflows and what do you do, what are the cycles. So all of that, you don't need technology to figure out your systems and process. Then is when technology comes in, and that's what my book is about. So my book is about to help business owners to not be afraid of technology because technology can be intimidated because of the jargon and because can be seen or perceived as complex and I don't know enough about IT or whatever. They don't need to know about IT. They need to know about these systems and processes. They need to understand how to choose the right partners, how to choose the right technology. Then someone else should be able to implement those things for them. Okay. So, but they need to be able to be comfortable at looking at these things. Okay. And the way I like to think of technology is imagine that technology is like a turbo. Okay. If you have a very good engine and you apply a turbo into that engine is going to be more powerful, more quick. Everything's going to be amazing. But if you have an engine that is weak, if you put a turbo into it, that engine can blow. The same happens with companies. If they don't have the systems and the processes working perfectly fine, adding technology is not going to solve the problem, it's just going to make things worse. Mm-hmm. And that's why you have a lot of examples of people saying, oh, I implemented my CRM system and nobody uses, I spent a bunch of money and nothing is working. It's taking 3 times more the time. Yeah, because you go and pick up a technology without having your systems and processes. Okay. So that is what is important. And that is what my book is about, is to help business owners to understand that first. Systems and processes and workflows is the most important thing that you need to have. And then bring the technology to make it work in an easier way.
So that's very interesting, Nuno, because what we are doing within my business is using AI to simplify a lot of the project management type of things, to give us the frameworks, and then build out what we need to be saying in our communications, etc. And I'm a small business owner, but it's absolutely, we've got to now be doing the productivity of 10 people. This is what AI and the technology should be able to do that. There should be solopreneurs out there that are having $1 billion businesses because they can actually use all of this technology where it's needed and make sure that their business are flying before we start to have other people. And the great thing is if we do have a team like I have, each of those individuals, including myself, should be using the technology to multiply our output, multiply our productivity in absolutely the right way. So, Nuno, thank you. Thank you so
Absolutely.
much. And how can people get hold of you?
Well, I have a very unique name, so if you just Google my name, I come on the top of list of Google. Also on LinkedIn, so I'm on LinkedIn. I post regularly. I have some newsletters there also, or just email me. So it's Nuno at lifeshift.coach. I'm more than happy to reply to any emails. And my website is the same thing, is lifeshifter.coach. So you can then connect with me through the website, or through LinkedIn is the main need to Harris to contact me.
That's wonderful, Nuno. Thank you. Thank you so much for being a special guest and with so much innate knowledge as well. As I said, be in touch with Nuno because it's worth a chat and you can get results usually very quickly from my experience, because it doesn't take much to just unblock something and then all of a sudden that blocked pipe, as it were, flows like a dream, and that you get that and you think, wow, that's exponential. So it's very well having a chat. Thanks everybody for listening. Thank you again, Nuno. And
Thank you.
my pleasure. Like, comment, and subscribe. And thank you so much for everybody who gives your support. Share, because you don't know who this might resonate with. It would be a wonderful gift to give to somebody that can really explode their business. So until next time, carry on being successful, and we'll see you all again very, very soon. Bye-bye now.
Bye.